Graham Strachan, commonly known as Shirley Strachan, was a powerhouse in the rock music and entertainment industry. With hits like Living in the 70s and It's Rock and Roll to Me, he captivated the audiences nationwide and left a deep impression on the world of entertainment. But on August 29, 2001, while exploring his newfound hobby, his life would take a tragic turn. Join us as we journey through the remarkable life of Shirley Strachan, from his early rise to the fateful last ride that would shatter the hearts of millions of fans. Shirley Strachan was actually born as Graham Ronald Strachan on January 2, 1952 in Malvern, Victoria, and grew up in Mount Waverly. He was an energetic kid from the start, and it didn't surprise anyone when he got the Scouts badge in entertainment during his school days. After World War II, his father, Ronald Strachan, decided to pursue carpentry, which in fact sparked Shirley's early interest in woodwork. And this passion grew even further in 1970, while studying at trade school, where he came first in the building technician course. Known for his adventurous spirit, Shirley was always taking risks, whether it was late night driving his car or surfing the waves. And it was during such night outs in village greens, Shirley went to see a drummer named Freddie Strachan, who was getting quite popular at that time. Watching him perform had a deep impact on Shirley's life, and from that moment on, he decided that he'd want to make his name in rock and roll. Weeks later, he became friends with Freddie and joined his group called Flaptrap, which was later renamed as Frames. In 1972, after a couple years of performing at local venues, Shirley decided to take a break from music and moved to Phillip Island to work part-time as a carpenter and spend some time surfing. And it was here he got his nickname Shirley, which was reportedly given by his surfer friends because of his long, curly hair, resembling strongly to Shirley Temple. However, just as his girlfriend Sandy, who would become his first wife later, moved to Melbourne in 1973, Shirley made the decision to follow her. This in fact worked in his favor, as the next day he reunited with Freddie and became the lead singer for a rock band called Skyhooks. The group quickly gained a reputation as one of the most influential rock bands of the 1970s across the country. And that was not it, as around this time, in 1973, they signed a deal with Mushroom Records and dropped their debut album, Living in the 70s, which ended up becoming a massive success. Rumor has it that Mushroom Records was on the verge of going bankrupt, and Skyhook was a break-or-make moment for them. With multi-platinum success and Shirley as the lead vocalist, Skyhook started making waves in the rock and roll world, which also helped Mushroom Records from going out of business. Skyhook's next album, Ego Is Not a Dirty Word, left a lasting impression and gained more and more attention nationwide. After their initial success, the band's touring schedule became relentless, where they traveled across Australia and even some parts of the US. In the years following, the group members started feeling exhausted, particularly Shirley, who had been also working on his solo songs that time. In fact, the weight of career stability and the growing pressure from all directions finally caught up with him, and in 1978 he left the group to pursue a solo career. In 1979, after stepping back from the intense music life that had defined his life for years, Shirley worked as radio and television presenter. He made a name for himself among the new generation due to the TV show called Shirley's Neighborhood, which ran till 1983. And it was during this time in 1980 he dropped his solo album, It's Rock and Roll to Me, which turned him into an even bigger star. Not stopping there, during the 90s he tried to blend his carpentry passion with entertainment and became the presenter at a home makeover show called Our House. But as Shirley's career became more and more successful, he decided to take a short break and give some time to his family and friends. And it was around this time that he developed a deep fascination, or one would say obsession, with flying, as if the skies offered him a kind of freedom the stage never could. A few years later, in 2001, he began taking helicopter lessons in his free time, without knowing that fate was already setting the course for a tragedy that no one could have seen coming. On 29th August 2001, at around 2:20 p.m., Shirley boarded an Augusta Bell 47G helicopter, which was a private model offered by the Blue Tongue Helicopter School for the training purpose. He was super excited, as this was supposed to be his last navigation exercise before getting his full-fledged license. In fact, he had already planned to buy his own helicopter in the coming month, and had informed his family and friends that they would go surfing safaris together. The plan laid out by his instructor, Graham Gillies, was simple, where he had to go to Somerset Dam, which is roughly around 60 miles from the school, and return following the route given to him. According to Graham, this trip shouldn't have taken more than 90 minutes, and he had already prepared a test where he would ask questions about the landmarks Shirley saw during the flight, just to prove that he had flown that route legitimately. Interestingly, Shirley was no stranger to the skies, as he had a restricted airplane pilot license and was flying planes for many years. Plus, he had been on few navigation tests before and had a total of 79 hours of experience flying helicopters. Earlier that day, he had been on a call with his friend, talking about buying the Iroquois helicopter, which they were planning to take for their next surfing adventure. After spending a few minutes checking everything at the airport, the helicopter took off at around 2:30 p.m. Shirley's instructor even waved him goodbye and saw his helicopter disappearing into the distance. After traveling for what seemed like 30 miles following the given flight path, Shirley decided to take a quick detour towards the treacherous terrain of Mount Archer. Legend has it, Mount Archer falls under Yahweh territory, which is in fact a monster from the local folklore. And although many people reported to have seen the monster's footprints in appearance, Shirley was not someone who would get scared off by local legends. At around 3:13 p.m., while enjoying the view of the mountain, something went horribly wrong, causing the helicopter to lose control. And although the wind conditions were rough at that altitude, Shirley tried his best to control the descending helicopter. However, just a few seconds later, at around 3:15 p.m., he crashed in the wooded area at the northeastern slope of Archer, Queensland. The accident happened approximately 35 miles away from the Sunshine Coast Airport, where he was supposed to land back. The search for answers began immediately as the local authorities arrived at the scene and sent the videos and pictures to the Australian Transport Safety Bureau. The wreckage was scattered on the ground, and it was clear at the first look that there was no chance anyone would have survived the crash. A few days after the investigation into the fatal accident revealed that Shirley tried to stabilize the helicopter after an unknown occurrence, which could have been caused by downdraft of the wind that made the rotor blades hit the helicopter body or even the tail rotors. And this theory particularly seemed legit, as tail rotors were found in a bush 30 feet away from the initial impact site. Plus, some of the witnesses who did not want to be named saw the helicopter from a long distance and described it, saying the rotor blades indeed were bending due to the wind turbulence. Some of the witnesses even heard strange noises like some kind of pop or boom in the mountain. While falling, the helicopter was upright due to rear weight, and since the rotor blades had already stopped working, the helicopter did a somersault and crashed upside down. The weather reports at the Sunshine Coast Airport revealed that the wind speed was around 34 miles an hour, which one would say is not ideal for flying, particularly for Shirley, who was still an amateur helicopter pilot. And although Gilius, his instructor, issued the statement saying the wind was pretty even and not that worrying, other pilots told a completely different picture. According to them, the weather conditions were pretty worse, with occasional wind speed clocking over 57 miles an hour. However, these were just testimonies given by other pilots, and nobody seemed to know what exactly happened during that time. Plus, the question that still haunts the people today is, why did Shirley even choose to detour from the initial route? Some even speculated that the helicopter might have pushed off from its flight path because of the wind, which is very unlikely considering the heavy steel frame of the Bell 47G. Later reports showed that the helicopter was severely damaged upon impact, and Shirley sustained major head injuries, which would have been the reason for his death. Plus, what made it all the more devastating was that the early responders couldn't get there in time because the emergency locator transmitter didn't activate like it was supposed to. In fact, Shirley had taken extra precautions and was even carrying a portable ELT with him that day, which, according to the reports, got destroyed upon impact. Many people still argue that Shirley's helicopter might have run out of fuel midair, but the ATSB report debunked this theory, stating that the fuel tank had sufficient fuel to make the return journey that day, and it was further revealed that there was no problem with the helicopter and it had been in a perfect shape. We may never know what really happened during that hour. One might say that Shirley was just at the wrong place at the wrong time. Gilius, his instructor, later reported to receive many calls and even threats, blaming him for the incident, to which he later issued the statement, denying the allegations, and stating that Shirley might have had a heart attack, which was not that uncommon during such flights. Plus, the toxicology report and autopsies were never made public, so these questions probably will remain unanswered. When the news was made public, many tributes poured in from all over the country. In September 2001, after the private funeral at Noosa, his family held a beachside funeral at Sunshine Coast, Queensland, where reportedly more than 2,000 people gathered, including Skyhook guitarist Red Simmons, radio colleagues Gary Belcher and Dean Miller. After the tributes, his wife, Sue, scattered Shirley's ashes into the ocean from a helicopter, which was arguably the best way to honor his life. Many people present there couldn't help but to look up in the sky and remember their beloved star with tears in their eyes. Till this date, many people had traveled to the impact site, where the wreckage still can be found lying there like it has been frozen in time. Shirley Strachan's legacy, however, hasn't faded with the years. In fact, it continues to echo through the halls of Australian music history, not just for the voice he gave to a generation, but for the joy, mischief, and sincerity he brought to everything he touched. So if you enjoyed this story and want to see more like this, then make sure to check out our channel. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss any future videos.